Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton, founder, broker of the getting feedback. Throwing me off. So anyway, I'm sorry. Founder and owner and broker of Clareo Real Estate, Deborah Morton. Happy New Year to you. Are you there?
I'm here, Shelley. Are you ready?
I'm ready. and so before we get into the show, the number, ladies and gentlemen, is 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Those are the numbers to call in and ask your questions of Deborah and everything real estate related. Deborah, we just had this bad weather come through. Talk to us about how does this impact, particularly in the selling of a home?
Well, it is much harder to show houses when the roads are iced. As in all things real estate related, we have to have access to the houses. But people are super adaptable. The appointments we had scheduled for Friday and Saturday when the bad weather hit, we've rescheduled for later in the week. And as you know now, the roads are already back to... So we've just been rescheduling people. People are super accommodating because it's Georgia, and everybody in Georgia knows what it's like. So I don't see it especially problematic.
No, go ahead.
Well, I say what I do see happening right now is a lot of people who we're talking to that tried to sell their home last year and were unsuccessful for any number of reasons. They're the ones that we're getting ready to work with coming into the spring market. We call sometimes these listings are either withdrawn or expired, and that's where we're doing a lot of appointments and conversations right now with people who wanted to sell a home and for whatever reason were not able to last year.
And so when you say an expired listing, can you explain that to us? Because if I'm selling my home, I keep it listed until it's sold. Do people regularly pull back the listing and hold off on selling the home?
Well, no. I mean, houses don't sell for any number of reasons. And one of those reasons is sometimes price. Sometimes it's just overpriced. Sometimes it's not in a good enough condition based on the price. So price and condition matter. But what I saw happen in the fourth quarter of 2024 was financing issues. Because interest rates are volatile, and they still are, higher interest rates impact a buyer's ability to buy. So affordability has been an issue. In previous shows, we've talked a lot about affordability issues. So financing along with affordability becomes an issue. So in some cases, some of the people who tried to sell houses in 2024 unsuccessfully, sometimes it wasn't the house or the price, but simply a financing issue. So we have found, we're looking and have found some workarounds for that for some people.
And what are some of the workarounds? Is that just finding another financing company? Is that higher down payment? Like, what are some of the things that you do that a realtor should do to help that buyer?
We're working with some great local lenders who are helping putting packages together to buy down interest rates to get. So I had somebody that closed recently that their rate that they were originally quoted was up closer to 7%. It was like 6.7 something. And we were able to put him into a package at 5.65. And that was all the difference in the world. His monthly payment kept his debt to income ratio correct. All of his ratios that we need to meet to put a financing package together, it worked beautifully for him. So finding workarounds is what your agent should be doing, and this impacts sellers as well as buyers.
404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. In my, small little neighborhood, I don't call it really a subdivision as much as just a neighborhood. There's a house that has been for sale basically since I moved in the neighborhood a couple years ago. What do you think? Because the house is sitting there, it's in good condition. They did some work. It shows from the outside fairly nicely. What are some of the things that you would do as a realtor to help sell a property, assuming it's not financing or anything like that, it's just something else?
Well, there's only so many things that it would be. There's no such thing, in my opinion, of a house that is not sellable. But you can have it priced incorrectly. You could have the condition. There could be some offensive factor about a house that is not readily evident. It's interesting. You know, when you shop online and you see like pictures of beautiful homes, and it is our job to make your home look like a magazine when we present it. That is our job. Now, the things that we can't control that is kind of a funny thing is smells. A house has to smell good. If we bring people in to see a home and it looks good on the internet and the pictures look great and the video looks great and the price is in the right ballpark, but you walk in, there could be an offensive odor. I would say that could be like a moldy, musty odor, a pet odor, obviously cigarette, cigar, tobacco products, or just not a clean odor. Smells matter when people are viewing a house. But other things that are less controllable by the homeowner would be a layout, like a floor plan. There might be a deck that just should be tore off and rebuilt. Sometimes there are offensive things that are out of your control, and I hate when this happens, but sometimes it's the neighbor. If the neighbor is, has cars stacked up on blocks or dogs that make you feel unsafe, there's a lot of things that factor into why a house doesn't sell. And a excellent real estate professional will be looking at all of those things.
All of those things.
With a critical eye, it has to be looked at carefully.
We had a question. They just fell off, but they wanted to ask, how do you work with transferring or selling a property if there's no will? I had to deal with this when my mom passed. I had to go through the courts and everything like that down here in Atlanta. But can you talk to that caller? They dropped off, but their question was, how do you take over a property if there's no will in the death of a family member?
That property has to go through the probate court, and that's not a fast process. Right now, it's even slower than it used to be. Though I would have to say, like Cobb, I know Cobb and Fulton are primarily the areas that I've had the most experience personally, and Cobb has caught up, and they're doing a faster job processing. But there are legal requirements, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to speak too deeply on this, but I can connect anybody who has questions about probate to a good probate attorney to get that squared away. You cannot transfer title to the house if there is questionable ownership. And one of the things I do when I first meet with somebody is verify, legal ownership of the property. I will not allow somebody to sell a house that doesn't belong to them.
Right.
That's fraudulent. It happens, though, Shelley.
Right, it does.
It's crazy. There's crazy stuff that happens out there.
Well, I worked with Chief Judge Kelly Walk. She just got reelected. She's a probate Chief Judge in Cobb County, and her office, they run smoothly. So shameless plug and shout out to Chief Judge Kelly Walk, because Cobb is very good.
It has gotten much better. After the pandemic, when forced shutdowns, all of the court systems that was not considered essential, they were working with very limited staff, and it was very challenging during that time, but they've done a good job catching up.
404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. The name of this show is Inside Georgia Real Estate, and the host of that show is none other than Deborah Morton. She is the founder and broker and of Clareo Real Estate. You can get more information. What's that website again, Deborah?
InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. And Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. I answer messages myself.
Absolutely. And the email is Inside Georgia Real Estate. Right.
Just go to the website.
IGRE at WSBRadio.com. We're getting ready to go to break. Everybody hold on. We got some great questions. 44872-0750. 1-800-WSB-TALK. Hold on. We're coming right back to you. Do not go anywhere. The name of the show is Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton of Clareo Real Estate. We will be right back.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The name of the show is called Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton of Clareo Real Estate. She is the real estate expert. She knows everything. 44872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Let's go to David. David, what is your question for Deborah?
Hi, David.
Hey, Deborah. This is David. I've got a home in Buckhead, and it's probably got market value of like $1.8 million to $2 million. I have no mortgage on it, and I'm contemplating selling it in the upcoming year. And I wouldn't be adverse to taking back a note on it, but I just don't want to run into any, if you will, credit or foreclosure issues. And just wondering, other than getting a good down payment on it, is there anything else I should be thinking of as far as protecting the value of that note and not having to, deal with the hassle of ever having to go after a borrower?
I strongly recommend in this situation, it's a great question. I strongly recommend in this situation that you would have a real estate attorney review the not just the purchase contract, but the terms, because you're also writing a contract for the financing. So you're going to need to have a very tight contract and be certain of who you're working with. Seller financing had practically disappeared since pre-pandemic. I mean, way back 2015-16, it was easier to find seller financing options for people, but that has in effect went away. Money was cheap, it was easy to borrow, and somebody like in your situation, when money is cheap to borrow, why would you not take the hold? Now you have the opportunity to get some good income by charging interest and keeping the interest yourself. But it all comes down to your qualifying process for your buyer. And do you have somebody in mind that you want to sell the home to?
No. I'm just, I own a couple of homes, and this is just kind of the first move in the chess piece of getting
putting the strategy together.
To
right.
do something else. Yeah.
Right.
Deborah, hold on, David. Stay right there. Deborah, seller financing. Can you explain that to the audience? What exactly does that mean? And more importantly, how does that work?
Yeah, so the short version is the seller becomes the bank. He owns the house outright. He is going to sell it to somebody and carry. So the buyer would put a big down payment down, and then the owner would receive interest on that note. The buyer makes his payments every month, just like you would to a bank, and the owner, and with an interest rate agreed upon. If we're at 6.5% mortgage interest rates right now in the seller financing, he can negotiate whatever rate he wants. Maybe he wants to make a family member a deal and only charge 5%. Or maybe it's somebody with credit issues can't qualify for a bank loan. Then in effect, he could charge, 8%. And he has that income coming in over the next, most seller financing deals I saw previously were not 30 years like a regular bank would. So it might be a situation where somebody who's self-employed has trouble qualifying for a traditional mortgage or financing package. A deal like that would be, and they have cash flow, but they just don't qualify. There's a lot of circumstances where that situation might be very beneficial to someone.
But now, what's the benefit to the seller, to David? What is his benefit to doing this as opposed to selling a home outright that he's fully paid off?
His
He
home
gets
in
to
England.
retain the interest.
He keeps the interest. Okay. And over time, that interest is more valuable than the upfront, whatever thousands of dollars he will make.
Everybody's situation is different. Like he said, he's putting a lot of pieces together to figure out what's the best strategy for him. Some people want to take the lump sum and run. If he doesn't need the cash today, taking it paid out over a long term, he'll actually make more money.
Gotcha. Thank you, David, for your call. Thank you, Deborah. We'll be right back. The show is called Inside Georgia Real Estate. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB Talk.
So, your AI agents, they make the team that uses them more productive, right? But if they aren't connected to other agents, or your data, or your existing workflows, how productive can they really make your teams? Any business can add AI agents. IBM connects your agents across your company to change how you do business. Let's create smarter business. IBM.
The name of this show is called Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton, who's the founder and broker and owner of Clareo Real Estate. And she takes all your questions dealing with Georgia real estate. And so let's see Arnez. Let's go to see Arnez. I can't.
Hello.
Hey, Deborah. C. Arnez, you there? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. So my question is, you was just talking to one of the callers about seller finance. So, and you mentioned that someone may have their own business because they don't qualify for the traditional financing through some of the financial institutions. So with that being said, how does that work for the financier where they put on a huge chunk? Do they still get those benefits, those tax benefits, or do they have to prove it in some way, form, or fashion, or how does that work?
Well, it's the same sale as far as the county and legal. I mean, you're still going to be recorded with the county as the owner of the property. It's just how you're paying for it is different. So the mortgage would still be recorded as a lien at the county on the property as a first lien, and there's really nothing different about it except for the person who's holding the mortgage note. Now, finding opportunities like this is the hard part. So there's a lot of self-employed people who would love to own more properties, but finding seller financing opportunities is challenging. Like the last man, he might sell it himself. That property might never be listed on the MLS, which makes it even harder to find.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm enjoying the show. Thank you, too, Shelley. I tried to call in last night, not to go off topic, but I was out there last night. I'm an Uber driver, and I was a first responder to that last night. But thank you. I listened to you last night. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, C. Arnez. We appreciate you. 404. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm on the air Monday through Friday, 7 to 10, 7 to 9. Deborah, I want to. We have another caller, but I want if you could hold on, caller. I want to ask you, Deborah, because we had weather stuff last night, right? And we started the show talking about how that weather impacts showing homes and things like that, and you answered that very well. I know this does not relate to Georgia, but disasters, hurricanes, things like that, we get those in Georgia. Right now, currently in California, we have the wildfires. How do disasters impact the real estate market? Just generally speaking, how do these disasters impact real estate?
So my heart breaks for people in California right now. I can't even wrap my head around the impact that's about to have on the real estate market because of the severity of it. If you remember back on the Gulf Coast when Mexico Beach got demolished, the impact that happened there is all of those homes that were wiped away. It has been rebuilt, and the value of that property has actually gone up a lot. freed up. It took out all the little old houses that were there, and now there are mansions going up and commercial properties going up. So it's just the natural course. It's a natural course of things. When Katrina hit New Orleans, everybody vacated there. It was an opportunity to clear out the old buildings and rebuild new. It's expensive and it takes a while, but it's a fine line. Like, if you look at it from just a business standpoint, the long term, the area can appreciate in value, but what do the people who live there go through? So for me, in my role, I'm trying to look at the balance between houses are homes where families live and raise their kids, and that part, from the heart part, is a whole different thing than just looking at the straight numbers. Appreciation of value. And I do both, and they both come together in a situation like that. We had storms here, Shelley, just a couple months ago. Remember when we did the show on tree limbs landing on neighbors, on fences and stuff. So it doesn't have to be a major disaster to have an impact on the real estate market.
And then how does insurance impact all of that? How does insurance, because I'm recognizing, and so what I'm seeing with what I'm reading in the news and everything about Los Angeles, and I saw the same thing in Florida with hurricanes, is that when you purchase a house, you have to get home insurance, but insurance companies seem to be pulling out. How does that impact your job to help someone purchase or sell a home?
It's really hard. So if somebody is, first of all, I recommend homeowners insurance for everybody. If you're a cash buyer, there are fewer, you're not required. Your mortgage company will require homeowners insurance as long as they're holding the note on the house.
Right.
They own it. They want it insured. It becomes really hard when insurance companies won't insure. We have had an influx of residents from Florida coming back to Georgia because insurance is so problematic in Florida. If you can't get homeowners insurance, or homeowners insurance is so expensive it becomes cost prohibitive to live in the house, you have no choice but to move.
Right.
And condo insurance in the city, we have situations where insurance, they have you've got insurance on your property, but the building insurance has become ridiculously expensive too. So
can you explain that? I know a condo, you're connected to a bigger building and everything like that. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, to simplify it, this is too simplified, but basically it's a collective. All of the residents are combining their money to buy the whole building. You don't actually, you own shared space and your airspace, but you don't own the building itself. The collective owns it. So it has to be insured for that. Homeowners insurance is probably the hottest topic that we've had in the last year, other than you have mortgages, you have homeowners insurance, and those are the two things that impact, and taxes. Those three things impact affordability. And sale prices have gone up, the cost of money has gone up, and insurance has gone up. Those three things are why we have an affordability issue.
Wow. And so it's interesting to me. So you save up your money to get what we are quote unquote calling the American dream, which is home ownership. Yet there are so many other factors that play into you being able to afford a home beyond the fact that you have 20% down payment. You got a good mortgage rate. You can pay the mortgage every month, but then there's all of these other associated costs that pop up. Do they pop up at the last minute?
No. Well, it's part of the buying process. And the good thing is, I don't want to paint a bleak picture here, because the good thing is with insurance, you can lower your monthly payment by having a higher deductible. There are ways you can shop around. There's multiple carriers. They all have differing rates. The amount of insurance that you're putting on your property, you have a little bit, not a lot, but you have a little bit of wiggle room there. How you insure the property, like a well-trusted real estate professional, a qualified real estate agent will help step a buyer through all these things as well. There is no substitute for professional guidance when it comes to these, because there are so many options.
Right.
You need somebody who's experienced that's going to look at the whole package and determine what your needs are and look at what all the options are. That's what a trusted guide and professional does in every industry: real estate, insurance, lending, all of them.
Absolutely. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. We got a story that I saw earlier this week, and the story, essentially, the headline is, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. The headline is, housing supply jumps to 4-year high, but then it says, but it's not all great news. Can you talk to us about that?
So the headlines are grabbing readers. Do they call it clickbait? I'm not sure what the word is, but so we do have a high in inventory, but let me give you a different perspective. We talked about our last show was we had fewer units of property sold last year in 2024. In 30 years, it was the lowest volume of homes sold. So of course we have more inventory. So it's a fluctuating thing. It's like trying to understand, the Fed. There's so many variables that come in. The jobs report came in good this week, and mortgage interest rates went up. Well, when the Fed lowered rates a couple months ago, mortgage rates went up. So all of these pieces, the average homeowner, the average person is not an economist.
Right.
So putting all these things together, we have to roll it back and make sure that we're looking at the needs of the family first and foremost. So because there's too many variables that come into play.
Absolutely. 404-872-0750, 1-800-WSB-TALK. Really quickly, let's go to Stephen. Stephen, we have a couple minutes, so share your story of purchasing a home, and then ask the question at the end.
Okay, I just wanted to share the story of my first purchase in 1990, which was through a buy owner. I had poor credit, and I had found this guy that was an investor. He sold me the house, and after 2 years of saving my records, I took him to the bank, and I got a traditional loan. Now, the question was, I would think there's got to be some investors out there like I ran into 35 years ago, and that helped me because of my poor credit. Do you believe that's there? Now I have a 2-acre piece of property.
Hold on, Stephen. Go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, so I too am old enough to remember when you used to be able to do business that way. I'm currently seeing in the Atlanta metropolitan area, I'm not running across situations like that. And I don't know if it's because the city's more transient now or because of everybody just wants to take the money and cash out and have no ties, because that seller who finances for a buyer is now tied to that buyer for years to come until that note is paid off or refinanced like you did. So there's a lot of reasons why we're not seeing them, but they're just few and far between now and not advertised very well.
We're on the phone. We're here with Deborah Morton, owner of Clareo Real Estate. When we come back, Deborah, I want you to reiterate to everybody all the things that go into being a top broker and the things that people need to look for when selecting a broker to either buy or sell their homes, okay? That's when we come back. It's Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton, founder and owner of Clareo Real Estate. She knows everything. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a couple minutes left. The show is called Inside Georgia Real Estate. I'm Shelley Winter. She is Deborah Morton, founder and owner of Clareo Real Estate, Clareo, Clareo Real Estate. Deborah, earlier we had a question, and you were answering the importance of a qualified professional realtor. I wanted you just to take these last couple minutes, just tell people how important it is to get a real estate broker such as yourself when buying or selling a home? Why is that so important and it's not something you can do on your own?
You can do it on your own. What results you want matter, and who you work with matters, because a qualified professional is going to step you through every facet of it: the marketing, the strategy, the contracts, the liability, the legal responsibilities, and they're going to make sure your money is protected, and that's the most important thing. Because of a caller on our last show, I have put together a top 15 questions to ask when interviewing an agent. If you go to InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com, fill out the form, I'll send it to you, no obligation or no charge, because everybody should interview their professional consultants well.
It's interesting because most of us go with, my cousin Johnny is a realtor. Let me call him or her, right? Like,
yes.
That's usually how it works. And those questions, can you give me, we got a couple minutes, can you give me an example of one of those questions that you should ask when interviewing a real estate agent or broker?
Absolutely. I'm going to start with, because we talked about seller financing today, knowing contracts and legal obligations. When you're buying, once you put an offer on a home, you submit a contract on a purchase, you have legal obligations that you have to uphold. If your agent doesn't understand the complexity of Georgia law and the responsibility that the buyer is putting forth there, it is very expensive and could end up litigious. That's your agent's job, is to understand the contracts and what the obligations are. And on the selling side, the same thing. A seller can't just throw a house on the market and not be truthful about certain things. There are obligations on both sides. Then there's other questions to ask would be, what is your experience with marketing? What is your strategy for putting a plan together to bring me the highest dollar for my home and expose it to the most number of people?
Deborah Morton.
Just a couple.
Just a couple. Deborah Morton, give out that website again, and how can people get in touch with you?
InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com. Go to InsideGeorgiaRealEstate.com, and you can contact me that way or follow on Instagram, and also can be reached at ClareoRealEstate.com. I'm Deborah Morton, and it's such a privilege and an honor to be here with y'all.
Absolutely. Deborah, we will talk to you next Saturday at 1 p.m.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe on those roads. Please drive carefully. We will talk to you next week at 12 noon and 1 p.m. and 1 p.m. with Inside Georgia Real Estate with Deborah Morton. Have a great week, and God bless you.
I'm Lupe, a mom raising 2 kids outside Los Angeles. One day, I got the message no parent wants. Immigration raids in our neighborhood. Schools on lockdown. Families terrified. Raids don't keep us safe. They're meant to break us apart. While the government cuts funding for our schools and hospitals, they spend more to disappear our neighbors. But we're parents. We're moms. We protect each other because we know every family deserves to feel safe.
Text BUILD to 78757. This ad was paid for by United We Dream.